We will conclude our reading at this point. The book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 21, verse 16. You've been listening to a serialized reading of the Bible, the New King James Version, with episodes presented every morning at 8:15 on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Your reader has been Rosemary. Thank you for listening.
The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Dave, and for
the following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Dave, and for the next half hour, I'll be reading from the June 30th issue of the Challenger Community News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The Freedom Walk, the Harriet Tubman statue, is coming to the corridor. In case you missed the news, a traveling statue of Harriet Tubman has been retracing the path many African Americans took to escape enslavement, and it's coming to the historic Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor. The statue, The Journey of Freedom, by artist Wesley Wolford, is part of Freedom Walk 2026, an 8-week event in which participants retrace the Underground Railroad route to freedom used by the historic individuals who fled state-sponsored slavery. The Tubman statue, which shows the fierce abolitionist on a harrowing rescue mission, represents America's struggle to live up to its promise of freedom. Currently in Niagara Falls, it will be celebrated in the historic corridor on June 28th at 2 p.m. and June 30th from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. It will be proudly displayed on the Freedom Path behind the Nash House Museum and the historic Michigan Street Baptist Church. Freedom Walk 2026 will cross into Canada today on July 1st. This news comes after Governor Kathy Hochul signed legislation during the Juneteenth celebration in Buffalo to officially add the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad byway into New York State Scenic Byway System. The byway will begin in the city of Auburn in Cayuga County, continuing from Seneca County through Ontario, Wayne, Monroe, Orleans, Niagara, and Erie counties before reaching its western terminus in Niagara Falls in Niagara. The State Department of Transportation, which has been working with the Underground Railroad Consortium of New York State for a number of years to develop a corridor management plan, will soon begin installing signage marking the route connecting the Underground Railroad's landmarks from central through western New York. There is no state in the larger nation with a larger Underground Railroad footprint than the Empire State, and this legislation will highlight a network of important sites along a newly created byway honoring the legacy of the Underground Railroad and one of the fiercest freedom fighters in American history, Harriet Tubman, who ultimately called New York her home. Governor Hochul said, "Generations ago, the Underground Railroad carved a path through a divided continent and enabled thousands of enslaved people to gain their freedom. Through the creation of this new scenic byway, we honor the legacy of the men and women who made this dangerous journey, paving the way for a new birth of freedom for millions of Americans." On the 50th anniversary of Buffalo's Juneteenth celebration, there could not be a more fitting time to sign the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad byway into law, said State Senator April Baskin. I thank Governor Hochul for her support of this legislation. Assembly Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes for sponsoring this bill in the Assembly, and Saladin Allah and Lily Wiley Upshaw, two Western New York leaders in African American history preservation, whose years of advocacy helped make this designation possible. As we approach the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States, it is important to remember and to celebrate people who exemplify the ideals this nation was founded on, said Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes. Harriet Tubman, without a doubt, is one of those people. This article was written by Stefan M. Wright on June 27th. Raises should follow results. Why I cannot support executive pay increases right now. As a member of the Board of Education, one of my responsibilities is to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars while keeping students at the center of every decision we make. Since I was sworn into office in January, our district has faced significant challenges. We have dealt with concerns surrounding multiple potential data breaches. Currently, 58% of our schools are failing academically. At the same time, we recently adopted a budget that includes reductions to academic and social emotional supports, staffing cuts, and discussions regarding the closure of 4 to 6 schools due to declining enrollment and financial pressures. The New York State Attorney General has taken legal action against the district regarding student suspensions, and the New York State Education Department is also reviewing other areas, including special education. Supporters of these raises have pointed out that exempt employees have not received a cost of living increase in approximately 2 years. I understand that concern. However, the district is in a worse position today than it was when those employees last received a raise. Academic performance remains a challenge. Too many students are underperforming in reading and mathematics, and confidence in the district continues to be tested. We are also facing a budget deficit of roughly $60 million. At a time when the district is struggling academically and financially, I do not believe increasing executive compensation sends the right message to students, families, staffs, or taxpayers. Many members of the student superintendent's cabinet earn salaries ranging from approximately $100,000 to $185,000 annually. These salaries are significantly higher than what many families in our community earn. The median household income in the city of Buffalo is approximately $49,405 per year. Families across our city have had to tighten their belts because of rising costs and economic uncertainty. I do not believe we should be talking about increasing executive salaries, reducing programs, discussing schools closures, and asking students and families to do more with less. That is why I cannot support raises for the superintendent's cabinet or other executive leadership positions at this time. Most importantly, I have not heard how a 3% raise for executive leadership will improve student outcomes. Will it increase reading and math proficiency? Will it improve attendance, graduation rates, or school climate? I have not seen evidence that it will. To be clear, I am not opposed to compensation increases. I would be open to supporting raises in the future when the district demonstrates meaningful progress and when our financial situation allows for it. But right now is simply the wrong time. If we can find funding for executive raises, we should first ensure that we have funding for the programs, services, and supports that directly impact students. Student outcomes must remain our top priority. Raises should follow results, and right now our focus should be on delivering better outcomes for the students and families we serve. Stefan M. Wright is the Ferry District Representative on the Buffalo Board of Education. June 29th, Strawberry Moon. It's all about gratitude and emotional clarity. Spirituality. The June 29th strawberry full moon is about gratitude and emotional clarity. It represents a time when life is bursting with energy, flowers are in bloom, and everything feels alive. The strawberry moon invites you to pause and appreciate how far you've come. It's a time to look back at the goals you've planted earlier in the year and recognize how they're beginning to take shape. This moon encourages you to celebrate abundance, not just in material things, but in love and creativity. Release emotional baggage. The energy of this moon supports letting go of old wounds and negative patterns. Nurture connections. Just as strawberries grow in clusters, this moon reminds you to strengthen bonds with loved ones. Strawberry moon is a powerful reminder that if you work towards something, your dreams can come true. As this moon has to do with things coming into existence or being illuminated. It's a time when people can see the fruits of their labor appear and then can gain deeper insight into how to achieve their goals. June's full moon is also in Capricorn, which helps us to feel grounded and mature. It is also a good time to do a life audit and release what no longer serves you, whether that be emotional patterns, people, or material items. This full moon highlights the past while also looking forward to one's future. Join the NYCLU and community members every Friday from 6 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. at 175 Woodlawn Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14208 for discussions on the environmental impact statement process for the Kensington Expressway project. These informal office hour style gatherings offer opportunities to learn, share concerns, connect with the New York Civil Liberties Union, and help shape future advocacy efforts. Community members interested in speaking or volunteering are encouraged to attend. All are welcome. Preparing tomorrow's leaders, Reach Academy, newly early childhood summer program for 4-year-olds. Big things are happening for the city's youngest scholars. Reach Academy has officially announced the upcoming launch of its brand new Early Childhood Summer Program, a premier early childhood program designed specifically for 4-year-old scholars. Located at 1424 Jefferson Street, the program is scheduled to run from July 6th through August 27th, 2027. As families look ahead to the future, this specialized program offers the ultimate stepping stone to ensure children enter kindergarten educationally ready, confident, and eager to learn. The program's curriculum is deliberately crafted to balance core academic skills with crucial interpersonal growth, academic readiness, and social-emotional readiness. Families enrolling their 4-year-olds can expect an environment structured entirely around the needs of developing minds. The program boasts expert teachers and a specialized curriculum, a safe, nurturing environment, small class sizes for individualized attention, a structured daily schedule of activities to build healthy routines. With limited spots available, families are encouraged to secure their child's enrollment as soon as possible. For more information and enrollment, contact Child Care Resource Network at 716-877-6666 or Reach Academy at 716-503-5168 or email at cmilioto, CMILIOTO, at reachacs.org. Immediate enrollment is available with daycare vouchers, TANF subsidies, Identified Special Education Services, McKinney-Vento. Rivera defeats Sellner in primary race for the 61st Senate District seat. We went to the people, we fought for everyone, for every vote, said John Rivera. Last Tuesday night, Assemblyman John Rivera declared victory in the New York State 61st Assembly District primary with 55% of the vote over Jeremy Zellner. In his acceptance speech, Rivera expressed tremendous gratitude and declared, "Candidates don't win campaigns, teams win campaigns." He noted naysayers who said he would not be able to raise enough money to run an effective campaign. But we proved them wrong every step of the way. We went to the people. We fought for every vote. No stranger to politics, Rivera has served in the New York State Assembly since 2021. He attended Buffalo State University and George Washington University. He began his political career working in the office of former Representative Brian Higgins. He also worked in Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz' office as a liaison to the county legislature. The upcoming November election will determine who will get a full term starting in 2027. However, there is no Republican opponent for Rivera, and he's almost assured to win. He campaigned on the affordability crisis during the primary. The people, he declared, are eager for something new, eager for something different, eager for something more honest, more transparent. Here's the backstory. When State Senator Sean Ryan left his 61st district seat to take office at Buffalo City Hall, a special election and appointment process quickly triggered behind-the-scenes political maneuvering. Rather than letting Assemblyman John Rivera take over the seat, the Erie County Democratic Committee put forward County Chair Jeremy Zellner to replace Ryan in the special election. Zellner's decision to name himself to the vacant Senate seat has caused major friction within the New York's 61st District, with critics viewing it as a party-controlled self-appointment. But Assemblyman Rivera chose to challenge Zellner directly in the primary rather than sit on the sidelines, leading to a victory in that closely watched local legislative race. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Challenger Community News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Annual Family Day Fishing Day kicks off this past weekend at Freedom Park. It's the largest family fishing event in Western New York this past Saturday, June 27th and 28th. Growing up in the Talbot Mall housing projects, George Johnson loved to fish. "When I was young, I used to fish with a rock and a string," Johnson recalled recently. "We couldn't afford a rod in those times, so we made do with what we had." Fast forward to 2007, it was Johnson's love for fishing, as well as his love and concern for the youth impacted by violence in the inner city, that led him and his friend, fellow fisherman Sam Smith, to take advantage of the state's designated free fishing days and take a group of 10 or so young boys from the community to the foot of ferry to fish and expose them to a different environment. That was the beginning of Family Fishing Day. "It was perfect timing," Johnson said in reference to the establishment of the free event. "I would be remiss not to acknowledge two of our number one supporters over the past 18 years," he continued. Lenny Lane of the Fathers Group and Richard Dickey Rome of Famous Donuts. They've been there from day one. Now in its 19th year, the program is the largest kids and family fishing day in New York State, offering free fishing rods, bait, food trophies, and priceless memories and mentorship to thousands of youth. The annual Family Fishing Day this year took place in Freedom Park at the foot of Ferry this weekend, June 27th and 28th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The two-day gathering featured the third annual father-son, mother-daughter bike ride. The Eastside Bike Club, also founded by Johnson, is inviting all parents and guardians to bring kids and bikes along this year. It's just an additional incentive to get parents to spend more time with their kids. The fishing and biking help strengthen family bonds. Everything was free. Children can be registered on the spot, but due to a limited supply of free rods, Only 2 to a family will be allowed. There will also be a DJ and award ceremony at the end of the day. Participants have become more diverse thanks to Buffalo's unique and growing immigrant community. The fishing is just the hook to bring kids down to have some sort of conversation with them, to offer encouragement, mentoring, and to celebrate family and community, Johnson said. In addition, there is a very important and significant historical aspect of being at Freedom Park, he mentioned. The park is sacred ground for African Americans. It was the departure point for our ancestors who fled enslavement on the Underground Railroad to freedom in Canada. A memorial stone has been designated in the park in honor of local anglers who fish there frequently. Everything was free this past weekend, and because Family Fishing Day is not a funded organization, it relies entirely on contributions and donations, financial as well as in kind. Most of our support comes from people in the community, Johnson pointed out. Fishing is good for kids, Johnson concluded. It teaches responsibility and patience. It also helps them to appreciate and respect nature. To support Family Fishing Day financially or other ways, fishing rods and gear, gifts should be made to Buffalo United Front Incorporated, P.O. Box 1306, Buffalo 14215, or to the Buffalo United Front's headquarters, 295 East Delvin, Buffalo 14208. For more information, call 716-818-3410. The United Front's headquarters also houses offices of the Friends of Freedom Park and the East Side Bike Club. The following article is by Pastor George Nicholas, The Tale of Two Juneteenths. First, let me commend the Juneteenth Committee for their tireless, sacrificial work to gift Buffalo with one of the most extravagant events in the country. The enthusiasm of the parade brings people from across ages, religions, class, and yes, even ethnicities together in miles-long stream of colors, sounds, and joy. The artwork, food, and fashion display the genius of a people who have blended cultures from the diversity of Africa, the Caribbean, and the American South. We are indeed a beautiful people, and we deserve a day, in fact, many days, to celebrate our never-conquered superpowers. What I described was the experience in the main section of MLK Park. On the other side, near the wading pool by the casino and adjacent to the Charles Drew Science Magnet, the organizers had the thoughtful idea to create a youth empowerment zone. There, a smaller group of vendors, artists, and service providers camped out to offer something for young people. This is where my organization, the Buffalo Center for Health Equity, in partnership with Best Self, offered activities to make Juneteenth enjoyable for our young people. While just a few yards away, you could experience the best of us. Here was a display of the worst of us. I witnessed many young people having a good time. Others chose to rampage through the park in acts of violence, mayhem, and disrespect instead of united with one another to engage with caring adults to take advantage of tools to empower themselves. Too many chose to turn on each in acts of violence, while others watched with self-degrading glee, cheering the chaos. The youths used their minds to play a game of cat and mouse, staging combat from one end of the area to the other with a defiant, "Stop me if you can." The peacemakers did their best to keep control, while angry, frustrated law enforcement tried to do their job, but I am not sure what their job was at some point. As a group of young people stampeded near our area, nearly trampling the vendors, my team tried to talk to a young lady who was filled with rage, seeking to get her hands on another young lady who is more like her if she only knew. While we may have interrupted this confrontation, I know it was temporary, and I was certain that her day, along with her friends, would be spent not celebrating the liberation of our people, but rather in seeking a path to attack a girl who the blood of our ancestors runs through as well. The problem is not Juneteenth, the organizing committee, law enforcement, location, or the type of activities. The problem is much deeper than that. It lies in the hearts and mind of too many of our children. Yes, children, despite their physical appearance, these children are in their minds and emotions. These are children in their minds and emotions. They are children that struggle with who they are and what their purpose on earth is. They don't know because they have not learned from the adults. It is easy to blame the children for acting up. We can blame law enforcement for roughing them up. We can blame community groups for not having relevant programs. However, it is all of us, the adults who claim this great connection to the ancestors and proudly adorn ourselves with African garments, while there are children hurting in unimaginable ways. What I saw when I see a 14-year-old boy with a black hoodie, face mask, and general unkempt appearance is not a bad kid to be feared, but a broken child that needs love. What I see in these young girls with foul language and "don't mess me" motto is a scared little girl who would much rather smile than scowl. We must not seek to blame, but we must hold all of us accountable for building a village where our children are cared for. We must find a way to connect the joy of the parade to brokenness of our youth, so that they can feel fully embraced to heal. Juneteenth was just another hot summer day of dealing with the despair of their lives. The goal must be to have one Juneteenth, one that is filled with love and joy for everybody, especially our youth. Our children acted out, not because they are bad, but because they are broken from the inside out. They cannot love the day and the meaning of the day when they do not love themselves. They cannot love themselves until we as adults teach them and show them, give them the gift of self-love, or give them permission of love themselves. I leave you with the words from one of our most brilliant minds. If we give our children sound self-love, they will be able to deal with whatever life puts before them. By Bell Hooks. This piece is from June 18th. The Killer Wore Blue. Jury selection begins in the mass murderer's trial. Jury selection has begun in Peyton Gendron's death penalty trial. Gendron, who killed 10 black people in a racist attack at Tops Market on Jefferson Avenue on May 4th, 2022, is expected to go to trial in October. According to news reports, he was in court Monday wearing a blue golf shirt and gray trousers instead of prison garb. It was his first court appearance in his federal case since 2025. Jury selection is expected to last several months. Gendron was 18 at the time he committed the crime. He was sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole in February 2023 in state court. Buffalo Common Council President pro tempore and Maston District Councilwoman Zanetta B. Everhart hosted the third annual Maston's Family Reunion this past Friday, June 19th, at Martin Luther King Park near the casino off Best Street. The free event, which ran from 3 to 8 p.m., featured barbecue and concessions, family-friendly activities, a fireworks display, and live entertainment including dancing, a DJ set, an African drum and dance performance, and more. The event was open and free to all Maston District residents. Councilwoman Everhart created the family reunion event during her first year in office in order to provide community programming on the actual date of Juneteenth, which finally became official New York State and federal holiday in 2021. As part of the program, Councilwoman Everhart presented the Heart of Maston Award to two organizations who helped shape and strengthen our community. The Juneteenth Festival Incorporation, and the Maston Boys and Girls Club Alumni Association. In addition to Councilmember Everhart, the family reunion was sponsored by the Buffalo Police Athletic League, Arts for Learning Western New York, Peace Prints of Western New York, Tops Markets, United Way of Buffalo and Erie County, Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, Rooted in Love Incorporated, McDonald's, and Cold Spring Bible Chapel. Event highlights included a barbecue and concessions, live entertainment, family fun activities, a spectacular fireworks show, and more. People, family, and friends and neighbors in Maston gathered for Pride for an unforgettable day of fun, fellowship, and community celebration. The event was held at the MLK Park casino side facing the splash pad. The event was free, but registration was required. You have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the June 30th issue of the Challenger Community News.
The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hi, this is Chuck Stevens, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the July 1st issue of the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And of course, it's hot, and there's an extreme heat warming and another round of heat advisories issued for the Glow region. The extreme heat warning will be in effect noon Wednesday to 8 p.m. Friday in Orleans and Livingston counties. Dangerously hot conditions with heat index values as high as 105 are expected. Extreme heat and humidity will significantly increase the potential for heat-related illnesses, particularly for those working